Welcome back for another edition of our Sky Tonight, and this is Seth Mayo, Curator of Astronomy for the Lohmann Planetarium. And for this episode, we are covering the sky from August 24th through August 30th. And in this episode, we're going to keep it quite simple. We're going to take a look at the south mainly and just watch how the moon moves through some interesting objects through the week. We'll talk about what those are, and we'll have a chance to really dive deep into the Milky Way and how you can see it, what it is, and how it explains our place in our galaxy and in our universe. So let's get to it. So for this week, the south is a great area to focus on, especially where the moon will be passing through. So starting on Monday the 24th, you will notice the crescent moon located more towards the southwestern part of the sky, and this is around 10 o'clock for this week. And so it's technically a crescent shape just before first quarter when it's half full. And if we move forward in time, we'll find that the moon will then pass into the great summer constellation that looks like a giant S, kind of tilted on its side, which we've talked about a lot in the past. And these are the stars of the constellation we call Scorpius, the Scorpion. And so near the head or one of the claws of the Scorpion, by the 25th, which is Tuesday, you'll find the first quarter moon in that area. And as we continue to move through the week here, we'll go into Wednesday when the moon passes into a really interesting area, which we'll get to in a second. And then by Thursday and Friday, you'll notice that the moon will then move into a group of stars that I always say looks like a teapot. The teapot is something we call an asterism. So here's the handle, the lid, and the spout of the teapot shape. This is the asterism, so that's always noticeable in the south at this time of the year. But that really is part of the constellation we call Sagittarius, the half-man, half-horse centaur. He was an archer, and he's shooting that arrow in the back of Scorpius in the sky. So the moon will be in that area, and then in that phase, it will be a gibbous phase. So that means it's more than half full as it's waxing across the sky. And then as we get into about Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend, you'll notice the moon will then slide past these two bright objects, which we've spoken about in the past. Those are the planets Jupiter and Saturn. They're going to look like pretty bright stars that don't twinkle in the sky. So the first one that it will pass by as we get to Friday and Saturday is the planet Jupiter here, which we can center in on and just give us a better view of the awesome gibbous-shaped moon, and just above it, the largest planet in the solar system, Jupiter. And if there are any astrophotographers out there, just people that like to take pictures of the sky, you could take wonderful pictures of this area if it's clear with the moon passing by the planets. This is called a conjunction right here. Especially with Jupiter, if you have a chance to, really kind of zoom into a little bit, magnify the view, you may even see some of the moons of Jupiter. Jupiter has close to 80 moons going around it, while we have just our one moon, it's a great moon. We just have one going around Earth. Jupiter has many. And so it's kind of neat to think about the planet Jupiter with its moons, while we see our moon much closer to us, about 250,000 miles away from us, orbiting our planet. And then as we kind of round out the week, the end, you'll find that the moon will then pass by Saturn, which is located not far from Jupiter. And Saturn is also great to look at. If you take your camera and you can zoom a little bit, you may capture some of the rings of Saturn that you find around it, those icy, rocky rings. Saturn also has many moons as well. Over 80 moons that have been discovered around Saturn so far. So these gas giants have wonderful moon populations around them. And again, back to our own gibbous moon nearby. So this area of the sky is great for the moon, some planets, and some lovely summer constellations. So if we go back to the middle of the week, we saw how the moon moved through this area of the sky, and if you look closely there, you'll find this very dim, sort of patchy area of light. Almost looks like a wispy cloud kind of hanging above the horizon in this area. And what that is the densest part of our Milky Way, which does arc across the entire sky, as you may see here. Now, of course, many of us deal with what we call light pollution. And that light can obscure the beauty of the Milky Way. And of course, in the summertime, at least for us here in Florida, we do have to deal with thunderstorms and high humidity and all of that, which does make dim objects harder to see. But if you can go out on a clear night and to a dark place, the Milky Way is one of the most beautiful things in nature. And we can simulate that here in Stellarium. Can bring those lights down and give us this absolutely beautiful view of the disk of our galaxy that you see here. And with a dark sky, you'll find features within the Milky Way. Dark areas, dark dust lanes, bright sections, kind of twists and turns in the cloud. Now, the Milky Way has interesting origins in its name. Of course, Milky Way infers that it looks like a river of milk flowing through the sky. The term actually goes back to Latin, which is Via Lactea, which means milky path. And even before that, there's a Greek origin as well, which is Galaxius Kyklos. Galaxius means milky, and Kyklos means circle. So in that case, it would be milky circle, because long ago, people found out or figured out that the Milky Way circles across around the entire sky. If I turn off the ground here, which is kind of fun view, you'll notice here's the horizon, and look how the Milky Way is all the way around us. And so you can see it at different times of the year. But in the summertime, the most prominent, the brightest section is visible in our sky, and it really shines, again, if you're in a dark position. Now, going back to ancient Greek thinking, it looked like a river of milk. But one of my favorite stories involves a Cherokee Native American tribe, and in their belief, they thought that the Milky Way actually was cornmeal that was spilled across the heavens. And just to make a long story short, they believed that a dog, a mischievous dog, had entered into one of the tribe's villages and stole a whole bunch of cornmeal and put it in its mouth, and was chased away when it was caught, and it jumped into the sky, and as it went north, it spilled cornmeal out of its mouth and into the sky above. And that's what created the Milky Way, according to the Cherokee Native American tribe. So I think that's kind of a fun way to think about this foggy band, not just as a river of milk, but even as stolen food that was spilled across the heavens. One of the most interesting areas of our Milky Way is that bright, dense region in the south that we can clearly see. And if I turn the light pollution back on again, what I can do is I can show you where to find what's called our Galactic Center. And you can find this near the tail of Scorpius, which you find here, and kind of the spout of the teapot or the arrow of Sagittarius. And right about in this area, if you locate those constellations, in between those two, in this area here, is our Galactic Center. It's actually called Sagittarius A. It's a very bright radio source. And this radio source was discovered to be a black hole, a supermassive black hole, 4 million times more massive than our sun. And a black hole is something that you cannot see. It is something so dense and so scrunched down that the gravity is so strong that light cannot escape. And if light cannot escape it, you can't see it. So of course the big question is, how do we know there's a black hole there? Well, we've actually observed stars going around this black hole, going around it at tremendous speed because there's a lot of gravity here. And this galactic center is about 26,000 light years away. So it is no small distance. If you're traveling the speed of light, it would take you over 25,000 years to travel from our planet to get to the Galactic Center, which is located right in here. How do we fit into our Milky Way galaxy? Well, this is one of my favorite pictures of the Milky Way taken by the European Southern Observatory. That is a conglomeration of telescopes around the world that provided this 360-degree panorama of the Milky Way. So this is the entire Milky Way that would fit around our sky. And this is a composite image, a series of images put together. And the observation time collectively is about 120 hours to capture something like this. And it is gorgeous with all of these stars, the beautiful gas and dust lanes of the Milky Way that you see here. And as you're looking through this in the sky from Earth, you're actually peering through the disk of our own spiral galaxy. And our galaxy contains anywhere from 100 to 400 billion stars. That's billion with a B stars. And many more planets, possibly as many planets as stars, but most likely more planets. Some estimates put it at 1 trillion planets in our galaxy. So it's amazing to think about all the stuff that lies in this place we live in. And you can see that from Earth as this disk. If you look here in the middle, this is the Galactic Center, that central region that's near the tail of Scorpius and the spout of the teapot of Sagittarius. And you can see how bright it is. There's a lot of stars in that area. We call this the galactic bulge. And more than 25,000 light years away, the galactic center where the black hole exists, 4 million times more massive than our sun. And so this gives us a gorgeous view of this place that we live in our galaxy. To really put our place in the galaxy into perspective, let's fly through the universe using free planetarium software called OpenSpace. And as we fly through our galaxy, leaving our starry neighborhood, you'll find the Milky Way across the sky there. That structure that we normally see from Earth is the structure and disk of our Milky Way that you see here. And it's amazing to see this from kind of a top-down view, the spiral structure of our Milky Way galaxy, which is about 120,000 light years across. So if you're going the speed of light, it would take you about 120,000 years to cross our galaxy's diameter here. And it may even be bigger than that. There is an invisible thing called dark matter, which we can't see, we can't really interact with. It does have a gravitational influence on our galaxy and making our galaxy rotate at a rate we would not expect. And this dark matter halo, as we call it, could extend out to 2 million light years away. And a really big galaxy called the Andromeda Galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. So even our dark matter halo may extend out into that galaxy, or at least pretty close to it. So it's amazing to think about how big this place is we live in. And we are in this Perseus arm of the galaxy, actually on a little section of it called the Orion Spur. So we're in the Orion Spur of the Perseus arm, one of the spiral arms of the galaxy. And it takes us about 240 million years to go around the center of our galaxy. So a galactic year ago, dinosaurs were here on Earth, and we went through all this history in this one galactic year through the extinction of the dinosaurs and the reign of mammals, and then humans, and then technology, and then us until this very moment. That takes 240 million years to kind of go all the way around once that we find here. So it's amazing when you see that Milky Way in the sky, think about the bigger structure that we are part of in our Milky Way. Well, I hope you get a chance to see the Milky Way in the sky, along with the moon passing by Jupiter and Saturn this week, and the constellations Scorpius and Sagittarius, and maybe you'll have an opportunity to see the Galactic Center and the position of that supermassive black hole. So a lot of cool stuff to see right now. But again, thank you for tuning in digitally with us. Just a reminder, our Lohmann Planetarium is open 7 days a week. We're running shows from 12 to 4:30, Sky Tonight programs, flights through the solar systems, even cartoons about the constellations Perseus and Andromeda. And we're operating that planetarium with the highest safety standards in place. So love to see you in person, love to see you back here digitally. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll sign off with happy stargazing and happy Milky Way gazing.